The Sufi Message of Hazrat Inayat Khan, Volume 2, The Mysticism of Sound, Centennial Edition. Harmony. Harmony is the source of manifestation, the cause of its existence, and the medium between God and humanity. The peace for which every soul strives, and which is the true nature of God and the utmost goal of humanity, is but the outcome of harmony. This shows that all life's attainments without a sense of harmony are but vain. It is the attainment of harmony which is called heaven, and it is the lack of it which is termed hell. The master of it alone understands life, and the one who lacks it is foolish, in spite of all other knowledge that may have been acquired. The Sufi gives great importance to the attainment of harmony, believing that light is for the angels and darkness for the devil, but that harmony is necessary for a human being in order to keep a balance in life. There are three aspects of harmony: eternal, universal, and individual. Eternal harmony is the harmony of consciousness, which, being in itself eternal, all things and beings live and move in it, yet it remains remote, undisturbed, and peaceful. This is the God of the believer and the God of the knower. All vibrations from the finest to the grossest are held together by this harmony, as well as each atom of manifestation, and both creation and destruction take place in order to uphold it. Its power eventually attracts each being towards the everlasting peace. Humans are drawn in two opposite directions by the power of harmony, toward the infinite and towards manifestation. We are less conscious of the former than the latter, and by facing towards the one direction, we lose sight of the other. The infinite, being the essential spirit of all, finally attracts all to itself. The Sufis give most importance to harmony with the infinite, which they realize by resignation to the will of God, the Beloved. The existence of land and water, the land for the water, and water for the land, and the attraction between the heavens and the earth, all demonstrate a universal harmony. The attraction of the sun and moon to each other, the cosmic order of the stars and the planets, all connected and related with each other, moving and working under a certain law, the regular rotation of the seasons, the night following the day, and the day in its turn giving place to the night. The dependence of one being on another, the distinctiveness, attraction, and assimilation of the five elements, all prove the universal harmony. The male and female, beast and bird, vegetable and rock, and all classes of things and beings are linked together and attracted to each other with a cord of harmony. If one being or thing, however apparently useless, were missing in this universe of endless variety, it would be as if it were a note missing in a song. Every being is born for a certain purpose, and the light of that purpose is kindled within its soul. All famines, plagues, and disasters, such as storms, floods, volcanic eruptions, wars, and revolutions, however bad they may appear to humans, are in reality for the adjusting of this universal harmony. There is a story told in India of how once all the inhabitants of a village, which had suffered from drought, gathered together before the temple of their god, praying that for this year an abundance of rain might fall. A voice from the unseen replied, "Whatever we do is for the betterment of our purpose. Ye have no right to interfere with our work, O ye humans." But they again cried for mercy and continued to do so more persistently. Then came the answer, saying, "Your prayers, fastings, and sacrifices have induced us to grant for this 1 year as much rain as ye desire." They all returned home rejoicing. In the autumn, they worked vigorously on their farms, and after having prepared the ground and sown the seed, they prayed for rain. When they considered that sufficient had fallen, they again had recourse to prayer, and the rain ceased. In that way, an ideal crop of corn was produced, and all the inhabitants of the country made merry over it. This year more corn was grown than ever before. After the crops were gathered in, however, all those who ate the corn died, and many were the victims. In perplexity, they again sought the god, bowing low before the temple, crying, "Why hast thou shown such wrath to us, after having shown so great a mercy?" The god replied, "It was not our wrath, but your folly, for interfering with our work. We sometimes send a drought, and at other times a flood, so that a portion of your crops may be destroyed. But we have our reasons for doing it. For in this way, all that is poisonous and undesirable in them is also destroyed, leaving only what is beneficial for the preservation of your life." The villagers prostrated themselves in humble prayer, saying, "We shall never again try to control the affairs of the universe. Thou art the Creator, and thou art the Controller. We are thine innocent children, and thou alone knowest what is best for us. The Creator knows how to control the Creator's world, what to bring forth and what to destroy." There are two aspects of individual harmony: the harmony between body and soul, and the harmony between individuals. The soul rejoices in the comforts experienced by the external self, yet humanity becomes so engrossed in them that the soul's true comfort is neglected, and this keeps human beings dissatisfied through all the momentary comforts they may enjoy. But not understanding this, they attribute the cause of their dissatisfaction to some unsatisfied desire in their lives. The outlet of all earthly passions gives a momentary satisfaction, yet creates a tendency for more. In this struggle, the satisfaction of the soul is overlooked by humans who are constantly busy in the pursuit of their earthly enjoyment and comfort, depriving the soul of its true bliss. The true delight of the soul lies in love, harmony, and beauty, the outcome of which are wisdom, calm, and peace. The more constant they are, the greater is the satisfaction of the soul. If we in our daily lives would examine every action which has reflected a disagreeable picture of ourselves upon our souls, and caused a darkness and dissatisfaction, and if on the other hand we would consciously watch each thought, word, or deed which has produced an inward love, harmony, and beauty, and each feeling which had brought us wisdom, calm, and peace, then the way of harmony between soul and body would be easily understood, and both aspects of life would be satisfied, the inner as well as the outer. The soul's satisfaction is much more important than that of the body, for it is more lasting. In that way, the thought, speech, and action can be adjusted so that harmony may be established first in the self by the attunement of body and soul. The next aspect of individual harmony is practiced in one's contact with another. Everyone has an individual ego produced from its own illusion. This limits one when it's led in the direction of self-interest, and one judges of good and bad, high or low, right or wrong, in relation to oneself and others through a limited view, which is generally partial and imaginary rather than true. This darkness is caused by the overshadowing of the soul by the external self. Thus, one becomes blind to one's own infirmaries as well as to the merits of another, and the right action of another becomes wrong in one's eyes, and the fault of the self seems right. This is the case with humankind in general, until the veil of darkness is lifted from the eyes. The nafs, the ego of an individual, causes all disharmony with the self as well as with others, thus showing its unruliness in all aspects of life. The lion, the sovereign among all animals, most powerful and majestic, is always unwelcome to the inhabitants of the forest, and it is even unfriendly to its own kind. Two lions will never greet one another in a friendly way, for their nafs is so strong. And although the lion is the ruler of all other animals, it is slave to its own passions, which make its life restless. The nafs of herbivorous animals, such as the sheep and goat, is subdued. For this reason, they are harmless to one another, and are, on the contrary, harmonious enough to live in herds. The harmony and sympathy existing among them makes them mutually partake of their joys and sorrows, but they easily fall victim to the wild animals in the forest. The masters of the past, like Moses and Muhammad, have always loved to tend their flocks in the jungles, and Jesus Christ spoke of himself as the Good Shepherd, while St. John the Baptist spoke of the Lamb of God, harmless and innocent, ready for sacrifice. The nafs of the bird is still milder. Therefore, upon one tree many and various kinds can live as one family, singing the praise of God in unison, and flying about in flocks of thousands. Among birds, there are to be found those who recognize their mate, and who live together harmoniously, building the nest for their young, each in turn sitting on the eggs and bearing their part in the upbringing of the little ones. Many times they mourn and lament over the death of their mate. The nafs of the insects is still less. They walk over each other without doing any harm, and live together in millions as one family, without distinction of friend or foe. This proves how the power of the nafs grows at each step in nature's evolution, and culminates in humanity, creating disharmony all through human life unless it is subdued, producing thereby a calm and peace within the self and a sense of harmony with others. Every human being has an attribute peculiar to their nafs. One is tiger-like, another resembles a dog, while a third may be like a cat, and a fourth like a fox. In this way, a human being shows in speech, thoughts, and feelings the beasts and birds, and the condition of a person's nafs is akin to their nature, and at times, a person's very appearance resembles them. Therefore, one's tendency to harmony depends upon the evolution of one's nafs. As a person begins to see clearly through human life, the world begins to appear as a forest to that person, filled with wild animals, fighting, killing, and preying upon one another. There are 4 different classes of humans who harmonize with each other in accordance with their different states of evolution. They are the angelic, the human, the animal, the devilish. The angelic seeks for heaven, and the human being struggles along in the world. The person with animal propensities revels in earthly pleasures, while the devilish person is engaged in creating mischief, thereby making a hell for that person's own life and for others. Human beings, after their human evolution, become angelic. and through their development in animality arrive at the stage of devil. In music, the law of harmony is that the nearest note does not make a consonant interval. This explains the prohibition of marriage between close relatives because of their nearness in merit and blood. As a rule, harmony lies in contrast. Men fight with men, and women quarreled with women, but the male and the female are, as a rule, harmonious to each other, and a complete oneness makes a perfect harmony. In every being, the 5 elements are constantly working, and in every individual one, especially, predominate. The wise have therefore distinguished 5 different natures in human beings according to the element predominant in them. Sometimes 2 elements are even more predominant in the human being, in a greater or lesser degree. The harmony of life can be learned in the same way as the harmony of music. The ear should be trained to distinguish both tone and word and the meaning concealed within, and to know from the verbal meaning and the tone of voice whether it is true word or a false note. To distinguish between sarcasm and sincerity, between words spoken in jest and those spoken in earnest. To understand the difference between true admiration and flattery, to distinguish modesty from humility, a smile from a sneer, arrogance from pride, either directly or indirectly expressed. By so doing, the ear becomes gradually trained in the same way as in music, and one knows exactly whether one's own tone and word, as well as those of another, are false or true. A person should learn in what tone to express a certain thought or feeling, as in voice cultivation. There are times when one should speak loudly, and there are times when a soft tone of voice is needed. For every word, a certain note, and for every speech, a certain pitch is necessary. At the same time, there should be a proper use of a natural sharp or flat note, as well as a consideration of key. There are 9 different aspects of feeling, each of which has a certain mode of expression. 1. Mirth, expressed in a lively tone. 2. Grief, expressed in a pathetic tone. 3. Fear, in a broken voice. 4. Mercy, in a tender voice. 5. Wonder, in an exclamatory tone. 6. Courage, in an emphatic tone. 7. Frivolity, in a light tone. 8. Attachment, in a deep tone. 9. Indifference, in the voice of silence. An untrained person confuses these and whispers the words which should be known, and speaks out loudly those which should be hidden. A certain subject must be spoken in a high pitch, while another requires a low pitch. One should consider the place, the space, the number of persons present, the kind of people, and their evolution, and speak in accordance with the understanding of others. As it is said, speak to people in their own language. With a child, one must have a childish talk, and with the young, only suitable words should be spoken. With the old, speak in accordance with their understanding. In the same way, there should be a graduated way of expressing our thought, so that every body may not be driven with the same whip. It is the consideration for others which distinguishes human beings from the animals. It must be understood that rhythm is the balance of speech and action. One must speak at the right time, otherwise, silence is better than speech. a word of sympathy with the grief of another, a smile at least when another laughs. One should watch the opportunity for moving a subject in society and never abruptly change the subject of conversation, but skillfully blend two subjects with our harmonious link. Also, one should wait patiently while another speaks, and keep a rein on the speech when the thought rushes out uncontrollably, in order to keep it in rhythm and under control during its outlet. One should emphasize the important words with the consideration of strong and weak accents. It is necessary to choose the right word and mode of expression, to regulate the speed, and to know how to keep the rhythm. Some people begin to speak slowly and gradually increase the speed to such an extent that they are unable to speak coherently. The above-named rules apply to all actions in life. The Sufi, like a student of music, trains both the voice and ear in the harmony of life. The training of the voice consists in being conscientious about each word spoken and of its tone, rhythm, meaning, and the appropriateness for the occasion. For instance, the words of consolation should be spoken in a slow rhythm, with a soft voice and sympathetic tone. When speaking words of command, a lively rhythm is necessary, and powerful and distinct voice. The Sufis avoid all unrhythmic actions and keep the rhythm of their speech under the control of patience, not speaking a word before the right time, not giving an answer until the question is finished. A contradictory word they consider a discord unless spoken in a debate, and even at such times they try to resolve it into a consonant chord. A contradictory tendency finally develops into a passion until one contradicts even one's own idea, if it be propounded by another. The Sufis, in order to keep harmony, even modulate their speech from one key to another. In other words, they fall in with another person's idea by looking at the subject from the speaker's point of view instead of their own. They make a base for every conversation with an appropriate introduction, thus preparing the ears of the listener for a perfect response. They watch their every movement and expression, as well as those of others, trying to form a consonant chord of harmony between themselves and another. The attainment of harmony in life takes a longer time to acquire and a more careful study than does the training of the ear and the cultivation of the voice, although it is acquired in the same manner as the knowledge of music. To the ears of the Sufis, every word spoken is like a note, which is true when harmonious and false when inharmonious. They make the scale of their speech either major, minor, or chromatic, as occasion demands, and their words, either sharp, flat, or natural, are in accord with the law of harmony. For instance, the straight, polite, and tactful manner of speech is as the Sufis' major, minor, or chromatic scale, representing dominance, respect, and equality. The Sufi takes a similar arbitrary or contrary motion to suit the time and situation by following step by step, by agreeing and differing, and even by opposing, and yet keeping up the law of harmony in conversation. Take any two persons as two notes. The harmony exists between them, forms intervals either consonant or dissonant, perfect or imperfect, major or minor, diminished or augmented, as the two persons may be. The interval of class, creed, caste, race, nation, or religion, as well as the interval of age, or state of evolution, or of varied and opposite interests, shows the law here distinctly. A wise person would be more likely in harmony with foolish servants than with the semi-wise who consider themselves infallible. Again, it is equally possible that a wise person may be far from happy in the society of the foolish, and vice versa. The proud person will always quarrel with the proud, while another person will support the humble. It is also possible for the proud to agree on a common question of pride, such as pride of race or birth. Sometimes the interval between the disconnected notes is filled by a middle note forming a consonant chord. For instance, the discord between husband and wife may be removed by the link of a child, or the discord between brothers and sisters may be taken away by the intervention of the mother or father. In this way, however inharmonious two persons may be, the forming of a consonant chord by an intervening link creates harmony. A foolish person is an unpliable note, whereas an intelligent person is pliable. The former sticks to ideas, likes, dislikes, and convictions, whether right or wrong, while the latter makes them sharp or flat by raising or lowering the tone and pitch, harmonizing with the other as the occasion demands. The keynote is always in harmony with each note, for it has all notes of the scale within it. In the same way, the Sufi harmonizes with everybody, whether good or bad, wise or foolish, by becoming as the keynote. All races, nations, classes, and people are like a strain of music, based upon one chord when the keynote, the common interest, holds so many personalities in a single bond of harmony. By a study of life, the Sufis learn and practice the nature of its harmony. They establish harmony with the self, with others, with the universe, and with the infinite. They identify themselves with another. They see themselves, so to say, in every other being. They care for neither blame nor praise, considering both as coming from themselves. If one were to drop a heavy weight and in doing so hurt one's own foot, one would not blame the hand for having dropped it, realizing oneself in both the hand and the foot. In like manner, the Sufis are tolerant when harmed by another, thinking that the harm has come from themselves alone. They use counterpoint by blending the undesirable talk of the friend, making it into a fugue. They overlook the faults of others, considering that others know no better. The Sufis hide the faults of others and suppress any facts that would cause disharmony. Their constant fight is with the nafs, the root of all disharmony and the only enemy of mankind. By crushing this enemy, a person gains mastery over self. This wins mastery over the whole universe, because the wall standing between the self and the Almighty has been broken down. Gentleness, mildness, respect, humility, modesty, self-denial, conscientiousness, tolerance, and forgiveness are considered by the Sufis as the attributes which produce harmony within one's own soul as well as within that of another. Arrogance, wrath, vice, attachment, greed, and jealousy are the 6 principal sources of disharmony. Nafs, the only creator of disharmony, becomes more powerful the more it is gratified and the more it is pleased. For the time being, it shows its satisfaction at having gratified its demands, but soon after demands still more, until life becomes a burden. The wise detect this enemy as the instigator of all mischief, but everyone else blames another for one's own misfortunes in life.